Hello, and welcome back to Omen Exitio Plague. Approaching the door to your flat and closing it behind you, you feel almost as if you are sleepwalking. Suddenly, everything you've worked on over recent months has fallen into ruin around you, as if it all had been a dream. Burjick's version of events has obviously been accepted as official truth to the extent that even you have begun to doubt yourself. In addition to the crushing self-doubt, you feel the weight of a strong, violent, and invisible threat in the back of your mind. You are holding in your hands the notes in which you place so much trust. Their realness and solidarity and solidity is the only thing showing that you have not lost your mind and hallucinated the last few months. And yet, what good have they done? You fling them across the room in rage. Perhaps you are not mad, but paranoid. Hello, Knudsen, what is up with you, dude? Also, I keep realizing that out of habit, I keep mispronouncing your name. Is what you are feeling now only anger and frustration, or is this threat real? I'm in trouble, and I fear I have put you in danger too. Reginald is listening to you carefully as you recount and explain your recent events and the suspicions you have accumulated. Then you tell him your fear that you may be suffering from paranoia. I wouldn't call it paranoia, it just sounds like caution to me. I wouldn't complain about leaving these Dutch snobs and getting back to the comfort of London. Besides, they are utterly clueless about meat pies. Don't you worry, I'll be in London before you have time to put that belly back on. Reginald laughs heartedly. All right, old boy, I don't mind admitting that I'm looking forward to being back in England. You embrace your friend and then accompany him to the ticket office. Only once you have seen him with a ticket in his hand walking up to the gateway of the boat, you turn back to the flat. Perhaps you should be doing exactly the same thing as Reginald, getting back to London. After all, Dilft has nothing left for you. You are reflecting, wondering, is it really worth it to insist on your share of the credit for your discoveries with Brzurnik, or is it really time to make an ego-driven decision? Furthermore, if your best chances lie in proving your case in the academic sphere, would it not make more sense to try again in an environment where you still have some reputation, that is to say, in London? You no longer have any responsibility to tie here, so you immediately start packing your belongings in preparation to leave. With the money still at your disposal, it shouldn't be hard to get a place on the next steamer for London, and you will have time on your trip to plan carefully your next course of action. You may even persuade the University of London to enter competition with Delft. On the jump animation, we yumpin'. You have finished packing and you are ready to go. You are relieved to be leaving behind all the troubles and negativity of the last few days here in Delft. You also know, however, that one of these negative things is more than just a feeling. There were various clues, but above all, there was the fact that the tattoo you saw on the men who were chasing you is identical to the tattoos which you saw in Zanzibar. The possibility of that being a coincidence has fallen to zero. There are obviously certain people who are watching you and interfering with your life. You need to think of something, some way of throwing the people following you off your trail. If you can trick them with your departure, maybe you can buy some time to learn more. As you are considering your next move, someone knocks at the door. You approach the door, but do not open it immediately. You ask who it is, and a voice with a heavy North African accent claims to be a messenger. You cautiously open the door, and just enough to see who is there, but not so much as to risk to expose yourself to any... We are not exposing ourselves, was the point of that sentence. Waiting, there is a black man with a scarred face, wearing a robe, which looks much too small for him. He hands you a note. A message for Mr. Huntington. How's my day going? It's going okay. Not a lot has happened. It's a day. You take the note from the hands of the man, who looks at you with a slightly idiotic smile. You thank him, he nods. For a second, you seem to catch a strange twinkle in the man's eyes. It's over in an instant, and it may have been a trick of the light or your imagination. Right away, you sit down and begin reading the unexpected message. Jake, this is the second time I am writing to advise you. I hope that the fulfillment of the predictions of my first message has convinced you of my good intentions. You do not know me, Jake, but I am a friend, and the time has come to warn you. You shiver involuntarily. You had completely forgot about the mysterious message which you received in Zanzibar. I don't remember the mysterious message. I feel like there was one, but I don't remember what it said. I can imagine that you have already started noticing strange things happening around you and must have many suspicions. I can confirm for you now that these are indeed justified and that you have attracted the attention of a very powerful and very secret cult. This cult counts amongst its members captains of industry, nobles, politicians, and many other types of powerful people. And they have one overriding objective: total control. They have different ways of gaining it, but there is a plan that they have been pursuing for a long time. It is a plan that involves the disease. Epidemics are one of their main weapons of control, and thus you have assumed a key role in their eyes. You must be ready to defend yourself, a friend. You reread the message twice. You are not quite certain that it is not a joke, but can you really trust this friend? In light of the latest developments, the thought of returning to London is looking more attractive than ever. We'll trust this information. You will carry out your plan as you had already decided, but because of the latest warning, you think it advisable to procure a pistol for yourself. You remember having seen a gun shop on your wanderings around Delft. In the end, you find it, but quite a bit further away than you had remembered. The shopkeeper welcomes you in with a smile, and you tell him that you are looking for a small, easily concealable pistol. He shows you various models, but one of them immediately stands out as exactly what you were looking for. You buy it and leave. We have acquired pistol. Pistol has been acquired. Hell yeah. We might end up shooting somebody. Oh, we have 80 experience. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with all this experience. Goddamn. We have a revolver, an ordinary civilian gun. Everything is ready. You need only leave your flat. Head to the port, board your ship, and you will be on your way home. As you are about to leave the flat, you hear footsteps on the stairs outside. They stop right outside your door. You pull out the gun and hold it ready. Stranger, Dr. Huntington, I must speak with you. They do not even knock. They know full well that you are inside and that you can hear them. You are frozen on the spot, waiting. After a brief, eerie silence, the door is violently kicked down and 3 men burst in. Wait. The 3 men burst in the room, and they instantly freeze when they see the pistol in your hand. Dr. Huntington, I think you are mistaken. Three men stare in silence as you maneuver towards the door, the gun pointed firmly in their direction the whole time. Other than a drunk Irishman, there isn't as much racism in the story as I would expect from a Lovecraft pistol. I'm trying to think. There hasn't been anything that's been, like, overtly awful. Like, in the least sense. But then again, this is being written by a person of the current era in the style of old. So I think that helps that quite a bit. I wouldn't do that, Dr. Huntington. You'll only make more trouble for yourself. Moving slowly and keeping Omen in view, you reach the top of the stairs and start moving down them. The moment they are out of sight, you turn and start running. You leave the building and sprint along the pavement without much time to think. You decide on the closest familiar place, the home of a colleague from the university. In a few minutes, you reach the house and start pounding insistently on the door. Your heart racing, you turn back to the street. So far, there is no sign of the 3 men. But it's only a question of time before they catch up. A valet comes to the door. The valet won't let you in, so you start yelling the name of your colleague. After a few seconds, you see his face appear at the window. You quickly try to explain the danger you are in and about the men chasing you. To your horror, he does not even answer you, but gestures to his valet to get rid of this drunk himself or call the police. Hello, Milky. What is up with you, dude? You move back over the window to protest, but as soon as you do, the Velite closes and locks the door. He's not gonna. No. You are enraged, but you have no time to protest or think of anything else. The men chasing you might be around the corner at any moment. You continue running. You are sprinting as fast as you can towards the nearest police station. However, the men have anticipated this move and two of them are blocking the street ahead. You are just asking yourself where the third man is when he blindsides you and you are knocked unconscious. You wake up still groggy. You try to get up from the bed from which you find yourself, but suddenly feel a painful throb in your head. The memories come flooding back. Dilf, Bergenic, the attack. Where the hell are you anyway? You slide out of a comfortable bed of fine linen sheets and look about the room. It is too spacious, pleasant, and in addition to the bed, there is a sitting area and a small bookcase. You are bewildered, as if in a dream. Could this be a guest room of a stately house? There are no windows, but at the end of the room is a heavy, ornate door. Madonna has put me on a 3 pun max per stream. She was about to lose her shit yesterday. Oh my god. So, like, Knudsen, do you remember when I said that when you stream, half your brain cells disappear? They go somewhere. God forbid a man be funny. You know what women hate more than anything? A funny man. But, like, half of my brain cells just went out the door and I was just struggling. I was struggling so hard. And all the Knudsen does is just fucking sit there going, bees this and bees that. You approach the door and try to open it. The handle turns, but the door is locked. Hello, is anyone there? You shout a few more times, gradually getting louder, but no answer comes. You decide to give up with the door and try to explore the room instead. Before long, you have confirmed your initial impression. Everything is refined and high quality, even better than your home back in London. Occasionally, you return to the door and try the handle in vain. You scan the room, examining every inch of the walls in search of any opening or clue that might yield further information. You examine the furniture and the bookcase for a second time. You find nothing, however, save the fact that the room must be cleaned and tidied fairly frequently. It must have had many guests over a long period of time. Sometimes we just need to let Knudsen do a Knudsen. Oh, good. You know what? It'd be a funnier way to read that as, like, we gotta let Knudsen do a Knudsen. We just gotta let it happen. It was merely the beginning. Oh my god. Fucking kill me. Fucking put me in the fucking Nicolas Cage, like, bee helmet thing or whatever. Jeez. Oh, hi! Jesus fucking Christ, I don't like that. The sudden noise makes you jump, the door opens, in silence you prepare for a confrontation. A man enters the room wearing only a sort of monochrome kilt, a skull cap with a strange stone's mask. He is carrying a tray of food. I don't fucking like this. You immediately start asking questions, but the man ignores you completely. He puts down the tray and turns to leave. You go forward trying to stop him, but you are suddenly paralyzed by an intense pain in your arm. You can only turn your head an inch or two. Enough to glimpse a hair-thin needle protruding from your right shoulder. Watching him leave, you notice another man by the door, dressed in the same bizarre manner. You can only watch them silently leave and close the door. After a few minutes, the paralysis weakens. Somewhat discombobulated, you pull out the needle and look at the tray, on which there are various tasty-looking dishes. Okay, I'm so sorry that there are tits in this game now. I'm so sorry. God damn it. It's fine. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna have to deal with that deal. Is this TOS? So I think it is because it's in the game. Why would we apologize? 'Cause YouTube. YouTube is why, honestly. Just move chat over a bit. I can't do that. Like, I could, but, like... that, I have a whole thing for, like, if, like... Cause, like... This is fine. I remember there was a different game that I played where, like, a lady took a bath and, like, the context of the situation was not sexual, so I was like, this is fine. It's just tits. Several hours pass before anything else happens. The door opens, and this time it's a woman who enters. She is dressed identically to the man. Bare chest, skirt, skull cap, and stone mask. As absurd as the clothing is, there is something sacerdotal about it that reminds you of the pictures of Samaria and Egyptian priestess that you vaguely remember seeing somewhere. Again, you are dumbfounded by the whole affair, but this time you notice straight away the men standing at the doorway. You watch as the woman places another full tray of food on the table and takes away the untouched previous one. You look at the food and inhale its aroma. The dishes are appetizing and clearly prepared with care. Your stomach grumbles. You haven't eaten for many hours. No. You throw yourself on the bed and start thinking. It's made difficult by the delicious smell of the food drifting over from the tray. What strange manner of torture could this possibly be? To be locked up in such luxurious conditions. If men can be shirtless, it's only for equality. You know what? Sometimes equality isn't the answer. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes things are different and need to be treated differently. You are trying to make sense of these perplexing situations, but your mind, or rather your stomach, keeps wandering back to the tray. You are famished, but you have to stay strong. You don't know how long you will be kept here. No. You get up and you get up and irritably flip the table, right? And all its contents on the floor. You turn to the bed. The constant illumination of the room gives you no clue as to the passage of time or whether it is day or night. Only a few minutes you fall asleep. You wake with ravenous hunger and stomach cramps, still entirely unaware of how much time has elapsed. You notice that the room has been tidied and the tray of food has been replaced with another. You need to eat. This time, the last of your concern is poison. You attack the delicious food on the tray, almost choking in your fever. Even if they hadn't replaced the tray, you would have probably eaten the food you had knocked on the floor. Many days have passed, and even though you have no way of knowing exactly how many, if this absurd imprisonment is to continue much longer, you are quite certain that you will lose your mind. Once again, you are lying in bed, thinking. After having woken up, you get to do some exercise, and you are doing the last push-up. You raise your head to see something very unusual and unexpected. The door is ajar. We have received 16 experience points. I don't know why we need them. But we've got so many experience points, but I don't know what to do with them. You approach the door slowly. You're listening out for even the slightest noise, but there is only silence. You try to peer beyond the small gap between the door and the frame, but it's too narrow. You stop to think for a moment. Cautiously. You open the door very slowly and silently, inch by inch. In the surrounding silence, every small creak seems to you a deafening screech. You have opened it a few inches. You peer out. Fuck. It's fine. Everything's fine. Seeing an empty corridor, you leave the room immediately. You find yourself in a corridor lined with several doors, all identical to that from which you came. There is wallpaper covering the walls, making it impossible to understand what type of building it is. There is nothing else, only a corridor with 6 doors. Opening the nearest. You go to the door directly opposite and try the handle. It's locked, just as your own was a few moments ago. You put your ear to the door and concentrate on trying to pick up even the slightest noise. You think you can hear breathing, but you decide that it could just be a trick of the mind or the pressure caused by having your ear pressed against the door. You leave the door and try another. You try another door this time, one in the center of the corridor. It is closed. You try the one opposite. The handle turns. Club of Stone Man. Warily, you push the door and enter the room. You find yourself in a large room with a huge library, leather armchairs, and sumptuous furniture. It looks like the lounge of any of the more prestigious gentlemen's clubs in London. Men and women are sitting around quietly conversing. Although they are dressed in the same bizarre clothes with which you are now familiar. Greeting stone masks, kilts, and the bizarre little skull cap. Their posture and overall bearing seems to identify them as nobility. On their wrists, they all have the same tattoo, a shape reminiscent of an eye. We don't know where we are right now. We're somewhere. Strange things are happening. It is exactly the same tattoo which you saw in Zanzibar and on the wrists of your attackers in the streets of Dilf. It wasn't just paranoia then. They have been watching you for some time. You remember something else, the almost identical symbol you saw in the book about ancient Egyptians in London. What could the connection be? The atmosphere is extremely surreal. They are acting as if you were not even there. Finally, someone notices you. Dr. Huntington, finally you've decided to join us. His voice is muffled by the mask, and he makes a gesture for you to sit on a nearby armchair. Everyone present turns to look at you through the dark holes in their masks. On the table in front of you, there is a glass of red wine, which you are sure is of the finest quality. You do not dare to take it, but rather listen carefully to the masked man who is speaking to you. Dr. Huntington, let us not get off on the wrong foot. I can imagine you have many questions, and I assure if you make the right choice, there will be a time when you will be given all the answers you seek, and many that yet you do not. You can feel all the people in the room staring at you, analyzing you. After spending days in your luxurious prison, you know that you are unlikely to gain anything with a direct attack. Yet there is something familiar about the voice. Though it's muffled, its tone and phrasing remind you of one you have heard before. There is a strange accent, but the distortion makes it difficult to identify. But the height and build size match well. Could the man who is addressing you actually be Meyer? Answers will come. First of all, to have them, you must make choices, hopefully the right ones. We do, after all, have at least one objective in common. For now, you have no room to maneuver, and he is at pains to point that out to you. However, the mere fact that you are still alive means that somehow they need you. You let the man continue. We are, let's say, a very exclusive club. Our members come from the elite of many different specialities and different parts of the world. We include nobility, entrepreneurs, military men, and some, like you, from the world of science. We have been acting as a group for a long time. Our work goes back countless generations. We have always had significant influences on major historical events, and we are now close to achieving what could be termed a new level of influence. It's obviously the German guy, since he is the only one in the story with an accent. I mean, the only other one left is O'Bannon. But O'Bannon is like... O'Bannon would, like, blow the roof off the whole thing. O'Bannon is not a discreet man. You are listening to his words. You wish it was possible to write them off as those of a madman, but you cannot. In fact, they seem to describe the world very closely to what you have been imagining. Certain resources and unique capabilities allow access to our group. Capabilities such as your own, Dr. Huntington. You are an intelligent man, Doctor. I do not imagine that I need to tell you how many advantages there are for you once you have decided to join us. I'm getting so many fucking experience points. Why? This horrifies me. For this reason, we have taken care not to let your name be publicly known. We do not allow publicity for our members. We have 114. Jesus Christ. Remember the mask called. He is the only one addressing you directly in the mysterious club that you have been forced to attend. He wears a stone mask that alters his voice, but he has a strong German accent. Might he be Meyer? The only club member that talks to you is a man that, even with his mask altering his voice, speaks in a clear German accent. You suspect it to be Meyer, but you are not certain. We are not here to force you, Dr. Huntington, and we will give you some time to consider it. We will see you here tomorrow. In the meantime, please enjoy our hospitality. As he speaks, he is getting up. Several other members of the club are already moving towards the door at the back of the room, and he cues behind them. You stare in their direction, too, but your way is quickly blocked by another masked man. He is silently pointing at the door behind you, the one from which you came. I'm just gonna leave. This is weird. You start moving back towards the door to the corridor, turning to look at the last to leave the room. The heavy-set man who pointed you back to your room. He is probably under orders not to kill you, but it's probably better not to risk it. He might even have some of those damn paralyzing needles. Entering the corridor, you find the door of your room open, and going inside, your eyes widen at what you find there. There is a wonderful 5-course feast of fine food, including quail and other such dishes, some that you don't recognize. You have only just crossed the threshold when the door closes behind you. You need not check to know that it is locked again. You awaken from tormented sleep full of terrible nightmares which you can barely remember. You are left with distressing imitations of dark and ominous forms, but any sort of concrete image fades immediately away. We have so many XP points and it terrifies me. You wound up in what seemed to be a London private club, but its members are several bare-chested men and women wearing only a skirt and mask to cover their faces. Their purpose is to carry out a plan to conquer the world. When you calm down a little, you see that the door to the corridor is wide open. You can see that the corridor and even a part of the door which you know now leads to the club. You assume that the door also remains unlocked. I'm a curious individual. Into the corridor and approach the door. The handle turns easily, and once again you are in the alien hall filled with masked people chatting quietly or reading. I should get quails. Quails have, like, the teeniest, tiniest eggs. They have teeny, tiny little eggs. Quails are, like, really pretty birds, though. I do like them. They're so cute. A woman approaches you and slips a glass of wine in your hand, touches it with her own, and then pours some of her wine on to the black grinning lips of her mask. Having concluded this bizarre toast, she leaves. Dr. Huntington, please make yourself comfortable. With one hand, he points to an armchair, while with the other, he gestures to include the whole room. The books, a rich buffet, a small bar, and an area with smoking equipment. You are expecting further speeches, but the half-naked men and women ignore you entirely. I don't think we should do any of those. You decide to return to your room, that you are unwilling to take part in this perverse pandemonium. No one stops you or calls after you as you go. Back in your room, you sit in the chair to mull things over. You do not notice falling asleep. The door of your room is still open, but this time there is no food on the table. You have probably only been dozing for a few moments. Time goes on, and you on ignoring the open door. Many hours have passed, perhaps even a whole day. Your stomach starts to grumble since you decide to stay in your room. No more food has been brought to you. What if we waited out for a little bit? You stoically remain in your room, letting the hours drift by and trying with even less success to ignore the protestations of your stomach. The hunger is once again becoming unbearable. Finally, you succumb. Weakly, you get up and totter over to the door of the club. Entering the large room, your nostrils are immediately hit with the powerful aroma of roasting meat. And you look to see it there on the table, as if waiting for you. Trying to remain calm, you sit and help yourself to a healthy-sized portion. Welcome back, Dr. Huntington. We knew you'd come back. We knew you'd just be back here. In the room, there are fewer people, although you cannot be certain given the concealment of the mask. You presume that the man who is speaking to you is the same as the previous occasions. As you can see now, the right choices bring rewards. In this controlled environment, the right choices bring about rewards. Wonderful. The room continues to fill, and the man watches as you eat your plate of food. When you finish, he gets up to join the conversation of a group of members a little ways off. A woman approaches you, entirely unconcerned with her nudity. Gesturing, she shows you the room, apparently inviting you to enjoy its many pleasures. Then she goes off and joins a group of people playing cards at a low table. You decide to sink into a comfortable plush of an armchair and observe the various going-ons, if not for the unclothed torsos and unsettling masks. The situation in this room would be absolutely normal. Almost rather banal. Some people engage in small talk while others help themselves to the buffet bar or smoke their pipes. You listen to some of them converse in English nearby, but you are instantly bored stiff by the vernacular and jadedness of the discussions, typical of any pub or gentleman's club in London. Indeed, the only real difference between this and a gentleman's club, aside from the shocking state of dress, of course, is the presence of ladies. You cannot help but see it all as a pandemonium, some kind of play, but you try to stay alert for clues nonetheless. In the end, you fall asleep, only to be woken sometime later by the sound of a bell. At the sound of the bell, all the members leave the room. Again, you are surprised, but then, after a few moments, the heavy-built member of the club reappears again and points to the door. Evidently, you are not allowed to be in the room alone. You go back to your room. Days pass thus. Each time your door opens, the room is available to you, but only when occupied by members of the club. You visit every time. You are welcome and greeted, but no one speaks to you directly. You have been to the room of the club several times now, with the implicit understanding that if you stop going, you'll stop receiving food. You cannot fathom the intentions of these strange people. At least not until you see a series of newspaper article clippings intentionally placed at the entrance of the hall. They are all articles about incidents involving the supposedly random disappearance of famous people, overturned carriages, fatal beatings by thugs, and arson attacks. The dates and origins of the newspapers from which they have been taken differ widely. Studying them carefully, you almost want to smile. The message, the threat they imply is clear, crystal clear. Well, Dr. Huntington, what do you think of our club? I think you're all fucking weird. I need to put on some goddamn clothes. Thank you. And at this point, it's clear that your only option is to pretend to play along. I don't feel like that's bold. This feels... I like that one more, but I don't like that it's bold, right? Like, let's not. Many things, Dr. Huntington, many things. Nothing, however, that you are not perfectly able to accomplish. You failed an achievement. You have caused some trouble to your oh, okay. Okay. We did not get Stockholmed! Yay! All conversation in this room has suddenly fallen silent. All the masks are turned towards you, but you pretend not to have noticed. I suggest you go to your room and get some rest, Dr. Huntington. Tomorrow you will be awakened to your new life. Then you may begin to receive some of the answers which you so desire. For the umpteenth time, you watch as the members of the club slowly leave the room, followed by your interlocutor. This time, you are left entirely alone. Even the muscular guard has left with the others. You follow the advice you have just been given. You head back to your room. Your dreams were chaotic and fragmented. You wake up slightly dizzy and tense. On the table there has appeared a folded piece of paper, and on the chair are the clothes in which you awoke here the first time. After dressing, you take a look at the sheet of paper. It contains instructions that tell you when and where and how to contact the cult. If the date mentions in the text is near, you calculate that you have spent nearly 3 weeks in this prison. You fold and pocket the paper and go out the hallway. You try the door of the club, but this time it is locked. You try another, but it is also locked. Strange. You try one more door. This time the door opens and you are immediately struck by natural light and fresh air. You stumble out Drunk for a few moments of fresh air and liberty, you find yourself on a small, rather sordid alleyway. Coming out onto a main road, you see something which lifts your spirits even further. Through a light fog, you see an unmistakable profile, the clock tower of Big Ben. All this time, thinking that you were in a club in Delft with a very London atmosphere, you were in fact in London all along. At this point, I would just want to go home. You call a hansom cab to take you home, mentally recounting the location of the place where you were confined. You have only a few days to carefully consider your next move. As the carriage is jostled on London's bumpy street, you try to re-establish connection with reality. The interminable hours and days spent as a captive of the sect have you rather dazed, as if you are now in a parallel universe. Strategies for Judgment Day. Lund. Milky was right all along. The whole time. The whole time he was right. When aren't you? Milky has never been wrong in his entire life. Never. Your study seems small to you now, cold and foreign. Your encounter with this sect has made everything from your old reality appear fake. You pick up a photographic portrait of Helen, looking for someone to hold on to, but even her memory seems distant now. Zanzibar, the epidemic, Delft, and the meeting with the sect, darkness has begun to consume your life. It all seems completely insane. Ironically, the only coherent thing in all this chaos is the bizarre cult itself. Reflecting on recent events, you think it increasingly likely that the Germans who gave you the money are members of the cult. It would be a logical assumption. Thus, whether you like it or not, you have already collaborated with them. After this, though, you have another which makes you angry. You cannot help but feel that you have been at the mercy of events beyond your control. You have been controlled and used as a tool. You must somehow regain control of your life. You only have 3 more days before you must meet the sect again, and you must prepare yourself. You toy with the thought of accepting their proposal. Why should it be so absurd? You pace the house thinking, trying to clear your head, when you notice a letter on the table in the hall. The envelope is entirely blank. You pick it up with the curiosity, sense of expectation. Dear Jake, unfortunately, my warnings proved to be of little use. As I write, I understand that you have been taken captive by the mad past-alike clan. They will not harm you, at least not physically, and will not keep you locked up for long. Their sole purpose is to seduce you and bend you to their will. The words of the mysterious informant seem almost in mockery, and your initial reaction is to throw the letter into the fire. There are 2 things which strike you as interesting, though. Firstly, the letter speaks definitely of the cult, the religious implications of which disturb you greatly. And second, it also mentions a peculiar name, completely unfamiliar to you. Who or what is Hastelike? The common approach is and they are hurrying. This is to our advantage, Jake. With your intelligence and inner strength, it will not be easy for them to brainwash you. I know, too, that you are to meet with them shortly for your initiation. Another piece of information that sounds absurd. Recalling ancient and primitive beliefs and superstitions, a comet. If you have not yet been corrupted by their influence, this may well be your best chance. It would be the ideal moment to deal them a decisive blow. It could perhaps even destroy them. This time you could have some support, however. Hang a strip of white cloth from your window to let me know, a friend. You reflect on the letter's contents. Most of all, you are wondering whether the information really does have your best interest at heart. We're gonna agree to this. You reread the letter. You are unsure as to whether or not this mysterious informant can be trusted. But it seems clear that you have a common enemy, that which calls himself the cult of Hastelike. That's the light. There we go. The cult is a threat. You are still unclear as to its intentions and objectives, but you know now that something must be done to stop it. You have always considered yourself a man of principle, and this is not the time... And this is not the time to back down? I think there's something in there. However, it would be unreasonable to assume that you can act efficiently only by yourself. I'm really scared Reginald's gonna get fucking killed. I don't want him to die. Better to respect and wisdom than int, because int is basically a dump stat. Explain your reasonings, Newton. Informant tells you that the men you've met are part of a sect known as the Cult of Hastelake. Who is Hastelake? What is the purpose of this cult? They didn't hurt Reginald before. So, I hope Reginald doesn't fucking die. You call a handsome cab and it takes you to the university. You walk around the grounds looking for your friend with a mounting anxiety. Finally, you find him in one of the lecture halls busy correcting papers. Reginald greets you with a broad smile, but then he stops when he notices your frown and guesses that it is not a mere courtesy visit. You explain what happened to you, the situation in general, and what exactly you intend to do. Reginald looks at you hesitantly. He seems concerned about the idea of embarking on this plan. Jake, I am your friend, and you know I am always ready to help you out, but you know, I'm just not what they call a man of action. I'll try to help you in your preparations and organizing an escape if things were to go wrong, but I just can't imagine me being able to participate in direct combat. Smiling, you reassure him that you have no intention of putting him in any danger and embrace him. His support, however, is exactly what you need. We love Reginald. You are pleased that you were able to garner support for what you have to do. Alone, you might have given up or done something unwise. But maybe it's good that we got Reginald. You're ready to face the cult, but you won't be alone. Reginald is ready to help you. A good friend. Yay! Reggie. We have so many experience points and I don't know what to do with them! Hardly any tasks use D&D use and only wizards use int as a primary, but a wizard wouldn't do more damage than a sorcerer until level 67. You know, I have a D&D book. And I feel like that's not completely accurate. Like, this feels wrong. Feels like incorrect information. But I'm not going to go get my book because it's all the way downstairs. I'm only going to say, that doesn't feel right. That's what I'm going to say about that. You prepare yourself for the confrontation. You try to mentally drop a plan to turn everything into a logical sequence of actions and events. Not only to be able to act more efficiently, but also to anticipate any unexpected weaknesses. If you want to succeed, you will have to be as calculating as possible. And what campaign has ever reached that level? I've got a friend who's in a campaign where they're at like level 12 or 15. But yeah, the highest I've ever gotten is fucking level 3. And that's it. And then it falls apart. And you're just back at square one. Right? Why? As you in the stairs and get ready to put the read signal... You ascend the stairs and get ready to put the read signal out the window. Despite not fully trusting your ally, you do believe that he is hostile to the cult. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy. Reginald arrives early and you chat with him to kill time. I haven't felt this anxious since my own student days. There is someone at the door. Only one night has passed since you hung the signal at the window. You open the door to find a messenger. He is a stocky black man with penetrating eyes, and he is holding a packet. As soon as he gives it to you, he is gone, without even waiting for a tip. You slowly open the strange box containing various items and a note. The note details certain chemicals to be purchased, and there are instructions for assembling the whole into a small explosive. Have we joined a terrorist group? Was the choices cult group or terrorist group? Is that what's going on? It looks like material one would use to build an explosive device. We're gonna put some stats into medicine. We're at least gonna put one more into medicine. You are sitting in your study preparing to build the device by reading the instructions. You assemble the components carefully, mix the chemicals, and even more carefully pull them onto the central part. The whole thing is a very delicate operation and takes considerable time. After several hours' work, you have successfully put together something bizarre looking and slightly disturbing. The bomb is ready! Woo! Along with the instructions for the device, there are also directions for the preparations of a fireproof ointment to spread on your body. You prepare this too with all due care. It's the bomb. You inspect the device. It's small, but definitely not enough to be concealed on your person. You think carefully. Something you learn in your time as a prisoner is that the cult is made up of people belonging to nobility. No one would think it strange for you to arrive there wearing a top hat. In fact, you would probably see it as an act of ostentation and respect on your part. They might even like it. The bomb would fit perfectly inside a topper. Mr. Huntington's rebirth. We're coming towards, like, the end of something. And, I don't know how I feel about that. You have manufactured the incendiary bomb following the instructions of the mysterious informer. In sedentary bomb you've built following the mysterious informer's instructions. Hello, Dark! We're making bombs! We're not actually making bombs. Please, US government, don't come looking for me. I'm not making any bombs. But thank you for the lurk. The moment has arrived and you are unexpectedly calm. You are ready to do what needs to be done. You call a coach and prepare to go to the meeting point. You glimpse small snatches of London scenes throughout the carriage window as you pass. A part of you says goodbye in case you should never see it again. Reginald is sitting in front of you, nervous and on edge. He keeps changing positions if he cannot find a comfortable position. You intuit that he wishes to speak to you, but is afraid of interrupting your thoughts. At one point, you look at him and smile. He smiles back, but it is forced. Then he looks for a better place to sit. For the first time in many months, you feel completely calm. You know now that you are not crazy, and no longer feel the terrible weight of persecution. Whether real or imagined, instead you have a clear purpose and a chance to put an end to the nefarious plans of an insidious monster. As per the instructions, you get out of the carriage a small distance from the actual meeting place. You thank and pay the driver. For a moment, you are suspicious. The driver's complexion is very dark, but you cannot be certain since it's getting dark. You try to get a better look at him as he whips the horses into motion. He smiles and you suddenly see his brilliant white teeth in contrast to his dark skin. Stay in these parts. I will be back shortly. What if, well, things get... If you do not see me again before dawn, things have probably gone badly. Reginald looks at you in silence. You can tell he would normally say something funny, but right now he doesn't have the heart. You embrace him warmly and set off towards the port. and towards the specified dock. Reginald follows you with his eyes for several minutes. You pull the top hat securely down on your head. The weight of the bomb is not much, perhaps only a pound, and a few ounces, so you can easily wear the hat with sufficient ease. Hidden from clothes, your skin feels slimy and... Hidden from clothes, your skin feels slimy with the fireproof ointment you so carefully prepared. You have reserved an extra portion of it in your pocket for your face. You cannot be sure whether it is enough to protect you, but deep down you realize it matters little. The man welcomes you. You give him the password, and he tells you to follow him. The warehouse sinks, and its gloomy interior is filled with damp, tangled ropes and boxes. You follow the man along a dark passage, and then he moves aside a large tree trunk and lifts a trapdoor to reveal a thin ladder going down. A few yards underground, you find yourself in a large chamber that looks like a temple, but not of any ancient civilization that you are aware of. Doric columns, an altar, and the sound of water dripping and echoing complete the surreal scene. You feel as if you have entered a parallel world. Woo! Around you, there are men and women wearing the by now familiar mask and kilts. On the altar, there is a mask and kilt, presumably yours. 3 large men stand before the altar. You decide that they must be the leaders. One of them gestures for you to come closer. As you walk, you feel hands upon you, gently stripping you of your blazer, while the men on the altar are chanting strange Lydians, but you are hardly listening to them. It's time for you to act. I don't know what's going on. We're just gonna stall. They have removed your blazer and are opening your shirt. Someone has grabbed hold of your top hat. Ooh. Ooh. What is our agility like? Our agility is pretty fucking piss poor. And putting all of that into it, I don't think is gonna help us. So... throw it at the altar, I guess. You have no choice. You must act. Taking off your hat, you throw it with force towards the altar. The weight of the bomb facilitates the throw. It hits the large block of stone directly, and according to plan, the internal glass component breaks, mixing the flammable chemicals. The explosion is not particularly big, but is sufficient to spray the flaming liquid produced by the chemical reaction in all directions, creating a dangerous fire in a matter of seconds. 2 of the 3 men at the altar are killed in the blast. The third is lying on the ground, screaming and trying to extinguish the flames that are searing his skin. Many other members of the cult are on fire, and all around there is absolute chaos. You spread the remaining ointment on your face and run towards the exit. The heat of the flames is unbearable, and your clothes are starting to catch fire. 2 of the cultists are upon you, hindering your escape. We're gonna put something into observation. We're gonna do another one into observation. You manage to free yourself and find a route near the surrounding chaos. You reach the ladder and climb. Back in the warehouse, you close the trapdoor and pull the trunk over it, weighing it down with other boxes and random objects to slow down anyone who might be following you. You are able to eliminate the leaders of the cult. You may not have stopped it completely, but you are quite sure that any survivors will need time to regroup and decide how to continue their plan. In the meantime, perhaps you can prepare so as to make sure that when the cult comes back, there are those who are ready to face them. The aftermath. We finished Chapter 2. That was the end of Chapter 2. How many chapters are there? Jesus Christ. This feels unending. This feels like, why are we attacking the cult? Because they suck. We don't like them. Goodbye. It's mostly because it's like, they've just been, so it's this thing of like, where the cult is trying to gain control, and they have fucked up like our lives, the characters' lives significantly. Might have even killed Helen, ? That's a possibility, so why would we not fuck them up? But that was chapter 2. Okay. You were able to hit the cult hard and eliminate its leaders. Maybe you haven't stopped it completely, but you're sure the survivors will need time to reorganize and start pursuing their plans again. Big Ben stands black against the night, and just beyond it, there is the outline of Parliament, piercing the sky with its spires. London is never silent, but at night, the usual cacophonous voice of the city is muted, and your footsteps echo and reverberate through its alleyways and mews. Didn't they indirectly finance us? Yes. Yes. They funded our research and then said you didn't do anything. You didn't do any actual research. All of that was for naught. Like, sort of. It was basically like a, you did something, but no one gets to know about it. No one gets to know about it. You will serve our purposes and not your own. That's kind of like the big thing about like the way that they're doing things. Is that you will it really seems like you will lose your identity. That's just the usual worry with the military. Look, Knudsen, you will never find me in the military. So, also, this isn't the military, this is the cult, but I guess you did work for the military at one point, but that's because you were in a state of depression. When depressed, join the military! You are imagining disturbing shadows reaching down from the firmament as if some dark entity was trying to strangle your city, heinous fingers reaching for its throat. Reginald is at the corner where he had promised to wait for you. He seems agitated and anxious, nervously pulling at his overcoat sleeves. The moment he sees you arrive, he beams with relief. Another rather different to his usual jovial smiles. As you can see, he embraces you affectionately. Jake, I was beginning to fear the worst. Walking with Reginald, he tells you excitedly about his various ideas to help you disappear into thin air. He has prepared for you a bag with various items that will no doubt be useful to you, including money, food, clothes, and a train ticket. Reginald stops a hansom cab and practically pushes you on board. Coachman, London, Victoria. Reginald turns to you and gestures for you to get inside. Now his smile is very different, forced, trying to hide his sadness. Goodbye, Jake. He's still on one foot on the running board. You turn to look back at your generous friend. Reginald has given you so much, even put himself at risk for you. And always his perennial and magnanimous smile. You wish that you could find the words to express the depth of your gratitude, and even if you could, the knot in your throat would not let you say them. Reginald waves goodbye. The coachman rips his horse into motion. Thank you. They are the only words you can say, but you would like to add so many more. Now he flashes you a real smile and yells back. You can buy me a full-course dinner next time we meet. You laugh, but the knot in your throat grows even tighter as you imagine your friend, as the image of your friend recedes into the distance. You have the hansom cab drop you off directly at London, Victoria. You pay the coachman and enter the large station. The perfect place to disappear without a trace. You look for an inconspicuous place to wait for your train, somewhere you have less chance of being seen. Finally, the first morning train makes its appearance at Victoria Station. You show your ticket to the conductor, who tells you your carriage number and seat number. You have no trouble finding it and take your seat a few minutes before departure. It's the curse of a physics education. Be poor or published, or get blank checks and remain anonymous. As the train leaves the platform and begins to rock rhythmically, you feel every muscle in your body slowly relaxing, finally giving you a sense of revealed calm. All of a sudden, you realize that you didn't even look at your destination on your ticket as you reach in your pocket. Apparently, you're on your way to Liverpool. Waves of serenity. The train is hurtling through the beautiful English countryside. It has been quite some time since you left behind the smoky black streets of the capital for the luscious green fields and pleasant sloping hills all around it. The train has already stopped a number of times, and at every passing station, and despite your outward attempts at nonchalant, you have been throwing glances at the faces of the people on board for anything which could be constructed as suspicious. And each time it happens, you curse yourself and this involuntary and increasing paranoia. Several hours go by before the train reaches the last stop. But then finally you hear the whistling announcement, the final stop, Liverpool Central Station. You get off the train and hasten to leave the station, still with the horrible feeling of being constantly observed. Leaving the station and walking to the streets of the city, you soon detect the acrid smell of the Mersey. Heading in its direction, you pass vast throngs of people of different ethnicities coming and going. Liverpool only officially became a city 20 years previously, and thanks to its busy port, it has been expanding constantly ever since. Reginald talked to you about an acquaintance of his, a certain Francis J. Elan, captain of a cargo ship. He apparently provides your friend Reginald with new and exotic foods from around the world, returning to England about every 6 months or so. So you are heading for the port to try and find this captain, who, according to your friend, is currently preparing to set sail. The port is huge and, like the one in London, filled with workers, sailors, and crowds of all kinds. Looking down towards the docks, you can see so many masts that it looks like a forest. Scanning the chaos, you make out what looks like a merchant. He's barking orders left and right, and something about his beard reminds you of Captain Smith. You go up to him to speak. "What do you want, boy? Don't waste any time. I'm busy." "Who wants to know?" "Well, how about it? I'm getting a crew back together right now for my next voyage. Get ready, we're leaving today." You are sailing west with the merchant ship Serenity under Captain Francis J. Elyan? Yeah, Elyan. The first leg of the voyage will now take you to New Bedford in North America. You were able to intuit from the moment that you met him. Elaine knows that you are hiding something, but also that as long as you do your job well without making a fuss, he will not pry into your affairs. Captain of the Serenity, a ship on which you have decided to embark in disguise. Rude but capable, the captain definitely seems a good man. Given your situation, you owe him a big favor. We are in the ocean again. You have been at sea for some days already, and once again you are surrounded by a vast, unchanging expanse of blue. You have been assigned a small cabin and a medical kit. So far, your job has been fairly easy, limited to treating and bandaging small wounds and dealing with minor stomach complaints or hangovers. There are not many opportunities for conversation, but there is a small library assembled by your predecessors on board, and so you spend a great deal of time reading. As you fall into the routine, your days at sea become identical. You spend the day busy with your tasks and usually fall asleep the moment you get to your bunk. Over the last few days, however, you have had moments of utter exhaustion, and on these occasions you have noticed some disturbing effects on your vision. You have seen or imagined strange shadows on the edge of your vision field. You cannot put it down to mere fatigue or the effects of the strong sun bearing down on you when you are on deck, but there is something else. In your mind, you connect it to the paranoia that you were experiencing before your departure, and that your onboard workload has helped you forget. You are having nightmares again. Though fortunately for now, you forget what they were about the moment you wake up. But they give you a sense of unease which continues the whole day. What little you can remember consists of dark and weird shapes rising up, like sea monsters from the black abyss. You try to conceal your gloomy animus from the crew and to concentrate only on your daily task. But another terrible thought lies in the back of your mind. What if these latest symptoms, the dark feelings and strange hallucinations, are not just the result of your paranoia in Delft and London, but a sign that you really did catch the disease in Zanzibar? It's night, and despite your exhaustion, you cannot sleep. You decide, therefore, to go on deck to feel the freshness of the evening on your face. There you find some men gathered in a circle, passing around a bottle of rum and listening to their stories. Adir Medina, the wary Argentine, is holding court, amusing himself by scarring the younger members of the crew with tall tales of unthinkable and magical creatures hidden in the depths of the seas. I feel like this is really bad for our mental health. When the sea is shaken by tropical storms, or when you are lost in an unnatural fog, well, that's when you start to worry. Experienced sailor in the Serenity, he knows several stories and maritime legends which he loves to terrorize his companions. You suspect a history as a pirate. You boarded the Serenity, a ship under the command of Francis J. Elian, as the ship's doctor. He have received a doctorate. Maybe you think you know your ship, you think you know how to deal with storms or whatever else the ocean can throw at you, but in truth, that's when you find out that you know nothing about the things which live under the water or how great their appetites are. I was serving on a brig, it must have been 7 years ago now, when I saw one myself. There was an awful storm, and all of a sudden I saw a giant tentacle rise up above the mainmast, and then a giant and fearful shape emerge from the waters below. For a few moments we were completely in its shadows. Then luckily we were swept away from the terrifying thing in the fury of the storm. There is murmuring among the men, and someone tries to make light of the story, a sure sign that the story did not frighten them. When the storm finally calmed, we saw damage on the sides of the ship that no wave could have caused, as if something enormous had us tightly in its clutches before ripping chunks from the hull. And afterwards, there were 5 men missing. The captain wrote in his log that they had fallen into the sea, but when we found body parts in the rigging, an arm, part of a torso, as if something had chewed them to pieces. Now there is silence in the starless storm. Someone nearby has taken a long thing of rum. Okay. This bullshit. Of course, such antiquity... Storms and atmospheric calamities have been attributed to monsters and gods, but now we know that there are no such creatures in the world. Who said that they are in this world? The Argentine's gruff reply leaves you and the rest of the crew in silence, and they soon start heading below deck. Chat, do we stay or do we go? You go for some deep fried squid. I don't think I could eat that. Like, I don't think I could eat that. God damn it, Knudsen! You know what? I think we'll just go below deck. You go below deck and back to your bunk. Medina's story disturbs you more than you would care to admit, and despite your tiredness, it takes some time before you fall asleep. Luckily, the combination of general fatigue and the sheep's gentle rocking sends you off into a restorative sleep. The Serenity has docked in New Bedford, its first port of call. It will only be a short break. You will have to depart once again only a few hours later. Eline calls you into his cabin. You have no idea why you have been called, but it does not take long to find out the captain wishes to ask a favor of you. I need the substance indicated on this note. Here at the port, there is a man who can procure it, but I need someone to verify its authenticity. And since you're a doctor, I think you should be able to tell if it's real or not. This is the money you will need. That's a Ben Franklin. The Clash made some bangers. You know, I haven't heard too much of them. I'm not gonna lie. London Calling? I forgot the law. Like, it's a thing where, like, I've heard, so, like, I've just kind of, like, heard their music in general. What I heard, I couldn't tell you. I just know that I have, like, heard, like, their music before, and it was alright. I didn't hate it. Right? There's just some stuff like that where you just kind of, like, pick it up in the background. But you don't ever truly know. Every Hollywood movie when someone goes to London. Elian gives you some banknotes. You have disembarked and now you are walking through the harbor. You are now far away from London, Zanzibar, and the cult. The madness of your old life is beginning to seem like a hazy dream. Despite the hustle and bustle of this small town harbor, you are beginning to relax. The cold air is nippy but fresh. We have so many experience points! The money Elian give you to buy the mysterious item he wants. Elian trusts you with the recovery of a certain substance for him. It is an important mission. Probably not very legal. Will you be able to complete it? You're even thinking of abandoning the merchant ship and settling here for a while. We have a mission to do. Despite your plans to abandon the ship, you decide first to go and find what Captain Elian has asked you to get. You read the note. It is an opium derivative, a strong painkiller. Now you understand the captain's reluctance of speaking it. No doubt he suffers from chronic pain and needs a substance for relief. You follow the directions of the note, and you find yourself in a shop in the harbor that sells just about everything. Money is Pink Floyd. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Pink Floyd. I find their songs a little bit too chaotic, but I really do like Money. Money is kind of like the one exception. I really do like Money. There was a guy that I went to school with who was obsessed with Pink Floyd. Oh my god. It was so funny. You approach the owner and make your request. I know this substance. The man looks at you suspiciously until you explain that you are buying it on behalf of the captain of the Serenity. The man nods and asks you to follow him to the back of the shop. When you get there, it is dark and dusty. The shopkeeper wants to see the money first. We've been lacking in our speechcraft. We'll do one in speechcraft. I have the money, but I want to see what I'm paying for first. The man grunts and opens a piece of cloth to show you the organic material inside. We're going to do another one in medicine because we have the luxury to do so. Yeah. Oh my god. New Bedford. Wish you were here, comfortably numb. I can't, it's been so long since I've decided that, like, Pink Floyd wasn't for me. That I don't remember what else I heard. The man runs and opens a piece of cloth to show you the organic material inside. You try to get a better look at the dried plant material inside the sack, even taking a small pinch, rubbing it between your fingers, smelling it carefully. The shopkeeper is trying to hide his obvious frustrations. When you are satisfied with the viscerity and quality of the product, you wrap it up again, pay the shopkeeper, and head off back to your ship. You must return and report to the captain. You have, however, been at sea for quite some time and are considering the idea of taking a load off your feet and having a quick drink. I feel like we will be left behind if we don't. You are walking through the streets of New Belford, looking at the buildings and imagine living there. You are wondering which would be the nicest area to live. The rattle of coins brings you suddenly back to your thoughts. Sitting on a street corner, a dark-skinned beggar shakes a metal tin at you. It looks like a nice place, but it's not right for you. You suspect that he's speaking to you, but his words make no sense. Are you speaking to me? What do you mean? You were traveling on a ship. I see people like you all the time, and I can tell that your journey is not over yet. You have to keep going. The man's words leave you perplexed, but you put a coin in his tin and walk off back towards the harbor. You put little faith in such superstitious nonsense, but the beggar's words resonate with you profoundly. You walk up to the Serenity's gangway, and soon as you are on deck, you run into Captain Elian, who looks at you anxiously. Well? With a smile, you take out the packet that Captain Elian wanted. Good work, Huntington. The captain gives you a broad smile, pats you on the back, and takes the product. Shouting orders, he walks off back to his cabin. So prepare to set sail. It's almost 6. I think I'm going to stop here. Yes. Just so that it saves to the next one. All right, then. That was stream. That was indeed stream. All right. Let's see who we can raid. So we have Horizon Zero Dawn, we have Repo, we have art of some kind. So what do you guys want to see? I paid no attention. Notes. So there's Horizon Zero Dawn, Repo, and art. And those are the options. Repo? Okay. Repo! Oh my goodness, my brain doesn't fucking work. Okay, there's a raid message. But thank you guys so much for coming to stream. I will see you all next time, or whenever. Bye!
Hey, thank you so much for the raid. Hello, how was your stream? How are you doing? We're all gonna die!